Hello and welcome to another live stream of the Stars, Stripes, and Anfield Nights live stream brought to you by LC Transfer Room. I'm your host Rigo, and I'm joined today by Brandon and Dan. Great to see you guys. It's been a minute. How have you guys been?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to have you guys back. It's been my back's been hurting carrying this show, even though I've only been on like since the last time we talked to you guys. But yeah, it's been a good time. I'm glad to be here. Hope you guys are doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing
Awesome,
it, Brandon.
awesome.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you've done so much work having to carry this show by yourself. I don't wish that upon anybody. So, I listen. I've been so busy, and I look at and I just saw you. I'm just like, Brandon, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I love you, but I can't make it tonight. It's not you. It's me.
Yeah,
My life's falling apart.
I've been pretty depressed here. I've got my mood lighting going pretty good because
It's a red light
I feel
special
that.
brewing back there. What's going on? Any companionship visiting later on?
Oh yeah, I mean it's Tuesday. It's my Friday, so it's going to be a stream for the next few days.
Oh, I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. I actually have Friday off for Veterans Day, which would be nice because I haven't had a day off work in like so long. So it'll be really nice.
Yeah. Today, as you guys know, Stars, Stripes, and Anfield Nights brought to you by typical American hosts here, hosts and panelists. And today was actually election day here in the States. So hope all of you exercise your right to vote. Um, did you?
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
No. I didn't have time to vote. Who am I voting for?
Come on, mail-in ballots. They've made it easier now.
I
mean,
don't care about the local Boston election. Like they could have put like Sleepy Joe's cat in a jar. I don't care. Like I have other things going on in my life. Like I don't know what like who cares about my civil duty? Like I need I need the civil duty of less taxes. That's my civil duty. I'm having the no taxation without representation part. Like what
You're
about that part?
represented, just not representing your best interest. But
That's true.
yeah,
That's
that's
true.
that's a topic for a different stream. A lot of political topics we could probably dive into, but let's not and say we did. But yeah, let's get to. I guess let's start off with a recap over the weekend. Rather disappointing results. Whenever Twitter, aka X, is overly confident and everyone's counting on a victory before it happens, we unfortunately end up getting kicked in the teeth sometimes, and that's what happened on Sunday. Brandon, your thoughts on the match overall, and any thoughts on what we could have done differently to secure a 3 points instead of just one?
Yeah, it's a frustrating game. There's a couple of moments in the first half where I'm like, it's just a matter of time before we break them down. Like Darwin hits the post on like a pretty good shot. Mo doesn't put his foot through one and skies it. Like there's just like little moments here and there. I'm like, if those change, the game's over in the first half. And it didn't. Obviously, Luton have been, even though they haven't been great, do play pretty well at home. I know they gave Tottenham a run for their money. They beat Ev, but that's not saying much. But yeah, it's a frustrating game. The biggest thing, finishing chances. I know a lot of people like to point out that Darwin missed in the second half. Mo's also kind of culpable there with the really poor effort of a header that kind of turned into a pass and left all the responsibility to
Mhm.
Darwin. But Darwin should put it away, but at the same time, Mo should also be putting it away. So frustrating game. Not the end of the world. We did come back, got a point. Obviously, Lucho saving us at the end of the day. Glad to see him back. Hopefully, he's continuing to get through that tough situation.
Yeah, certainly failed chances, missed chances, tail of what could have been. As you said, Brandon, felt like we were knocking, completely dominating the match. That it was only a matter of time before
Mhm.
we put ourselves in the lead, but it just didn't come to pass. Dan, your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are it's just kind of one of those. I know we should say that because one Luton are not a good team, like Sheffield United are not a good team. Burnley, these are not good sides. We should be going there and winning. And statistically speaking, we did. Like any other day, Jota slots that one. Nunez either puts the worldie in or he just kicks it into the net from the header from Salah. Though I think Simicast may have been offside in the build-up, so that would have probably gone to VAR. And Mo probably takes better of his chance. It just works to keeper. It's just kind of one of those. I think it's very easily to overanalyze it because you can just drive yourself crazy because Szoboszlai didn't have a good game. I think McAllister was fine, but then like everybody else wasn't having a good game. Gravenberch was doing his best, but again,
A
you had
little
Gomez to the
disjointed,
left.
right? More
Yeah, there was
individual
no
effort
there
than
was yeah, there was no width. I actually think Van Dijk and Konate and Allison do pretty well. I mean, obviously they scored the goal on the break, and maybe Allison could have done better, but I'm just like spitballing things as well. Diaz scoring the equalizer was a good moment considering everything he's been through. And I think the latest update that I've read from of the news came from James Pierce was that they were the EPL, not the English Premier League, but the group that apparently allegedly has his father currently kidnapped. Is they're waiting for final I don't know, like confirmation of them do a trade off or something as well. And it's just one of those.
ELN before we get
ELN. Yeah, you call it ELN. Thank you. Not the EPL. I don't know why I keep thinking it's the EPL. Maybe because the EPL has
it does feel like we've been held hostage by the EPL.
Yeah, I have been held hostage
at certain points this season already.
So my thing is, it's just one of those. We can sit here, we can overanalyze, we can drive ourselves crazy. It's just one of those that if you don't kick the ball in the back of the net, you're not going to win. So, we can sit here and debate like, oh, should we get ball a left center back or a DM? It's like, that's not who wins that game. It's just kicking the ball in the net. So it's just one of them. I wouldn't get too worried about it. Now, if we have a bad performance against Brentford at Anfield, I'd probably be more worried because that shows like they're just kind of running out of steam right now. And they probably they're going into an international break. But if we win at Brentford, that's 10 from 12. I said 10 from 12 was fine. Tottenham look like they're about to fall off a cliff with injuries, with suspensions. Arsenal don't look that great, and it just looks like it's going to be us in City. So, it was tough. We move on. We got a draw. Let's go beat Brentford and, up the Reds.
Yeah, for sure. Twitter as well as our own group chat with the stream host and the panelists, quite a few were acting as if the sky was falling, and we just have to what were our expectations initially coming into this year? I know a lot of folks were probably disappointed with the overall transfer bounty that we brought in, probably tempering expectations, hoping and thinking a top four was definitely possible, but challenging for probably the title, not altogether all realistically, but we're only 3 points from the top of the leaderboard. Obviously, Man City's up at the top yet again, but that's just a tale of what it has been. So I think we're right there. So nothing to get too crazy about it. I don't think.
So Rigo, do you remember 2 years ago during the quad season what game we had about this time period that everyone kind of lost their heads over? Do you remember what the game that we lost away was? Do you remember?
Was it West Ham?
Can't recall specifically.
West Ham. It was West Ham away, so we lost that game. It was very
the header at the last minute.
Yeah.
Well, corner play. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but also like Ogbonna had like that foul on Allison that getting called and all that as well. It reminds me a lot of that.
They were crowding Allison like crazy in that game.
Yeah, and then because we also had the 3-3 draw against Brentford, which was like a game I think we were 3-1 up, and they got the 2 goals late. That's when Jones smashed that goal in when he was 20.
That gorgeous goal in that yellow kit. Yep.
Yeah, that was, honestly, like I said, we've been here before. It doesn't mean Liverpool won't challenge for the title. I don't know if it means we win the league or not, but, I've always said, this team can win the league. This team can go all the way, So all they have to do is just, put it beside them, go play Brentford. Let's just go smash Brentford 2-0. Put a good performance in. Beat Toulouse on Thursday. It's Thursday. They don't have different days in the Europa League, sadly. Go beat Toulouse. Go beat Brentford on Sunday, go to the international break and just be like, all right, City's the next one coming up. We're going to game plan for City. And honestly, if we get beat City away, which I think we can, depending if Haaland's injured or not, but even still.
He's definitely not injured. He just scored 2 goals today, so.
Oh, he did play. Okay, yeah, he did play today. I didn't check the Champions League today. If Liverpool aren't playing, I'm not playing. I thought he was injured after the
Yeah, I've been Champions League agnostic in a way since our team's not in it, but I couldn't help but at least throw it on just to have him background. And yeah, he had a plan and another goal. Yeah,
but we can beat City at the Etihad, and if we get a draw, it's still good. So as long as we get that win, go into City with we have a game plan. Everyone gets the last international break for December. But honestly, if we beat City, it opens up so much because we have so many nice fixtures after that, and we can start racking up a lot of wins very quickly. And we've done all of our tough away games, apart from the Emirates with Arsenal and Old Trafford, if you call that a tough away game nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, if we have any dreams of winning the Premier League this year, you have to win the matchups against City or at minimum draw. Ideally, you need to win at least one of the two, draw the other. A draw away would be all right. Would be okay, livable. Loss definitely not, but definitely have to win the one at Anfield if we have any shot of dethroning them. But we're in a pretty good spot. I know a lot was made as far as Darwin missing that opportunity, but as you guys have mentioned, Mo had a shot as well. Others had opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net, and if you don't score, you can't win. So that was kind of the tail of the tape. It kind of got saved by Lucho there at the end. Very emotional, obviously lifting his shirt for his father, freedom for his dad, and hopefully it's just a matter of time before he is released by ELN, not the EPL, and is back safe with his family. I know definitely comments there. I think Paul mentioned it here that Joe over at left back did not work, and hope we don't try that again. I think
He's
it
playing
might
City.
be. It might be. What was that?
I said he's playing Joe Gomez left back at City. I know Paul Hart doesn't want to see that, but that's happening. They're not putting Simicast against whoever's going to be on the right wing. It'll probably be Alvarez, I believe, or Silva. So they're definitely playing him again.
Or Foden. Foden was pretty remarkable today. Yeah, I think Joe works, but he needs somebody holding the width so he can pass to. And Jota, he's always looking to go central. You could kind of see it. Him and Darwin kind of getting in each other's spaces a little bit on Sunday. I think if Lucho was there playing on the left wing, I think it'd be a much better pairing for him with Joe there on the left. But yeah, a lot of things we could have probably done a little bit different. I was surprised we didn't see Endo at all as well to come in, and obviously Curtis Jones wasn't available. Did we get any clarification as to why he wasn't on the match day roster that day?
Come on, Curtis Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was precautionary, as far as I could tell. There was nothing official, but everything they said is they just kept him because of precautionary things. They were just trying to ease him in still. So as far as I know, that's all it is. So he'll probably be on the team for Thursday. I would believe at this point.
Okay. All right, and so disappointing, but in the end rescued the draw thanks to Lucho, and we move. Next up is on Thursday our away tie with Toulouse. We can. We don't really need to win it. It'd be nice to win it, and then kind of just the last two matchups, not even have to worry about who we toss on the pitch. But we have a little bit of wiggle room to play with, and ideally, you'd hope Klopp would rotate heavily. He has been doing a really good job of rotating, but we definitely give guys like Dominic as well as Mo quite a bit of a breather. I think Dominic is on pace to play 30% more minutes than he has ever in his career already. So, yeah. Well, what are your expectations, Brandon, as far as what lineup to expect on Thursday?
It's ready. Yay.
That's Dan's dinner is ready. So for you guys listening in, before going through your thoughts, if you could share with our viewers here, what is on the menu for today? What's on the menu today, Dan?
Sorry, did you guys hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how that works because the microphone should have turned off, so I don't know why you guys still hear me. Apparently, I'm a ghost mic. Yeah, no, it's lasagna, homemade lasagna. Nice.
Yes. Like Garfield's favorite.
It is. All right, guys. So, Brandon, we'll end this conversation. Then I'll wrap it up so I can go eat with my wife.
All right. Yeah. Thursday, I would like to see quite a bit of rotation. No, I don't think about lasagna. Sorry. No, Mo needs a rest. I don't 100% understand why he played the full game against Bournemouth last week. Like, I know he wants to play every game and score every game, but he did seem kind of a little bit legged at the weekend. So I mean, give him time off. We don't have to, as kind of Rico said, we don't have to win this game. We want to win this game, but we don't. It's not imperative that we continue to win every single game in Europe. I don't think Doak's not quite back yet, but I mean, there's options. Maybe see Harvey on the right-hand side as a winger just to see if that can get going. Because we're going to have to find out who's going to play the right wing when Mo is gone for AFCON. Like, who's going to be the options in the league, who needs to replace kind of at least some creative output out that way. Can it be Harvey? Can it be Soboslai? But at the same time, Soboslai, as much as I want to see him play every game as well, can't play every game. I would expect to see Cody up top, kind of get him kind of going again, just to have more options. Don't have to put the pressure on Darwin every single game to be scoring. If we have Cody firing as well, maybe get Lucho a start, kind of get him reintegrated back on the side as he comes back. Probably see Endo again. Like, the left back stuff, obviously we're just kind of in a weird spot. As much as I used to like Costas, not so much I used to, it's just he does seem to have really we always talk about Matip like losing a step. It really seems Costas as the one who's been falling off the most in the past couple seasons. It doesn't seem to have.
We haven't seen genuine improvement. That's one of the things that we typically see from any player brought in. We see some growth, some actual evidence of improvement. And to be quite honest, I feel he's either stagnated or regressed in ways.
What he was like the first season under Klopp, when it was like really like where we just didn't see him for huge stretches of time, even though he wasn't hurt. It just seems like he's back to that type of form where it's like, do we need to get into the market to get another left back, or do we need to fix the system or something just to alleviate that? Because it just seems like he's really kind of dipped. Maybe we see the young kid. I keep forgetting his name. The young left back.
Scanlon?
Yeah. Or
Chambers.
Luke
Chambers?
Yeah. Then I always want to see young kids in this competition, at least on the bench. And maybe if we can get running out like 3-0 at halftime or something like that, we can see like a Bobby Clark or see a Cone Doherty, or maybe if we're really lucky, get to see the young 16-year-old Trey, but probably not. But yeah, you don't have to go all out.
Yeah, we had Dan drop off there. Let me see. Do we have a banner for a 2-person overlay for Stars and Stripes? There we go. I'll drop you off, Dan. Go ahead and meet
you. Apparently, she wants to show herself feeding me, apparently, to show how good of a wife she is. So apparently, I'm still going to be here. You guys can't get rid of me.
Yes, and this is what happens in the late show, guys. So,
we have fun
make sure you tune in weekly on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, it's the American show, all about food here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to put in the carbs in there somehow.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of new age, Dan. Is it gluten-free pasta?
No, God, no. I love gluten. We're not that old. Paul, don't. That's too funny, Paul. You're too funny. Don't joke about it.
Oh man, there's shouts in the chat of you stealing from the cradle there, Dan. I hope that's not the case. I hope you're not a Jerry Seinfeld, Dan.
No, she's Egyptian. I'm not Egyptian. We're very different here. But Brandon, just to swing it back around to not about me, which I know is very difficult. I agree with you on Costas. I actually think the big thing with him is just the fact that he hasn't progressed. And I think last year really, really knocked his confidence because Klopp didn't trust him. And I think it's very obvious that Klopp doesn't trust him. And I think that's knocked his confidence down by a lot. And I think Costas has always kind of been like a little just not switched on all the time. And I think that's kind of been his big thing. It reminds me a lot of like Alberto Moreno. In many ways, like very much can like switch on and off. And the thing that Costas doesn't have, which would make him a little bit better option, is pace. So I think that's the one thing you're missing. And I think you could see that Klopp just didn't trust him. Like if you're playing against Luton Town, you should be able to be like, all right, Costas is your game. And even like against Brentford or even Toulouse, I don't know if he's going to play. And this is mad because he's technically the backup left back. But to be fair, there's not really a lot of good backup left backs in the league. Do you remember who we were linked with 3 years ago when we bought Costas? Do you remember?
The guy who ended up going to Newcastle.
Yep. Do you remember who it was?
Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis. He
Yeah.
is not really kicked on at Newcastle. So, it's one of those things where, even at the time. So I like Costas. I think he has a lot of good technical things. But it's just obvious right now that the way that Liverpool are playing, Klopp doesn't have a lot of faith in him. Now they might be behind the scenes have this plan of like, Costas, this is our game, we're gonna pick for you. Like he already knows kind of like what's going on. But it is kind of sad because I love our players. Like Costas scored the winning goal.
Couldn't have been the case besides Klopp experimenting and trying to prep. I think Paul might have shouted it, or Jay Muse might have shouted there. Kind of prepping Joe for our Man City match. Do you think he's kind of trying to measure out Costas' minutes as well? Just because Andy isn't going to be around for another 10 weeks or so, and plenty of matchups coming up. So if he does plan on playing Simi, he kind of needs to rotate him a little bit more.
I do think it's both those things at the same time, but I would also say the fact that Costas Tsimikas is not going to get better unless he's getting minutes, and if you're managing his minutes now, I don't know what like if you're managing his minutes now when he hasn't played that much, I don't know what that means about his fitness or anything else or his bad shape and everything. Kind of it's different from Ryan Gravenberch, who hasn't played a lot. And again, like I said, it might be a situation where Costas because they hasn't played him a lot last year. We just need to get him back sharp as soon as possible. And then be very careful about it. But I do think that's probably why the links to Ryan Ayat Nori are coming out. Because again, like, there seems to be this thing where I thought Costas was going to leave in the summer. So there's definitely a thing where Klopp does not rate Costas as high.
I was kind of hoping for it because I was of the mind that we'd bring in a left-sided center back / LB hybrid type player, and also to get rid of the non-homegrown spot so we could then therefore bring in said player. So I was kind of surprised he stuck around, and also in a way surprised he got extended. Also, I know he's a huge part of that clubhouse, of the locker room. He gets along with everyone. He's Mo Salah's pretty much seems to be his best friend on the squad, kind of replacing Dejan Lovren's spot there. So it was a little bit. It did catch me a little bit off guard just because that was my thought process. But speaking of what Paul brought up and who I was also thinking about and have admired for a number of years already, Ryan Aït-Nouri of the Wolverhampton Wolves. He's undergone a makeover in a way. He looks absolutely badass now. So I think bring him right on in. I like his talent. I think he's held his own very well against Mo when we've gone up against the Wolves. But Brandon, I'd like to know your thoughts on Ryan Aït-Nouri.
Good player. I mean, he's developing well. He's got good length. I think it was like he's almost like 6 foot tall. So it's like it'd be like nice length down the side. I'm trying to think. I think the biggest issue with getting him, if we need him kind of in the immediate, is that Wolves, even though they seem kind of safe right now, could be in a relegation scrap come January. Who would they actually be willing to lose in January if it's all hands on deck? We're fighting relegation here. Though as bad as the new teams have been so far this season, they may not have to worry about it. 20 points might keep them up. But yeah, I mean, get in the pace, get in like the young carrots, like start kind of falling through. That's been like the issue in the Klopp era, has been kind of holding on to players a slight bit too long. Like I go back to Milner. I love James Milner. Like I loved him like so much. But if his role wasn't to eventually go into coaching and retire as a Liverpool player, there's no reason why he was in the squad for the last like 2 seasons he was there. Like he was just taking games. It could have been transitioning Hendo to that role, and then maybe Hendo goes. Like you could have been freeing up spots and really rotating. I have the issue. I'm not ruthless enough to be that type of person. I want to keep all these guys around forever because I love them. But I'm not running the club. The club needs to be ruthless, and it doesn't matter how I feel about the player. It should be how the club feels about the player. So, like Andy, Robbo is 30, 31, right in that range.
29? I thought it was 30. Yeah, I think he's 30, 29, 30.
Yeah, right in that range. I mean, he's ran a lot of races. Like, how much does he have in the legs? We need to get somebody in here who's ready to kind of take the role from Andy, or if we're switching to a different system, we need to start really building on that.
Yeah, we kind of have to start planning ahead and not wait until we actually have that need and and at that point, we're gonna have to pay a super high fee, or bring in somebody that's not up to snuff, or it's going to take a good while to acclimate. And, and Andrew Robertson didn't start playing immediately, as we all know. He kind of took a while to work his way into the starting 11, and I'm sure whoever his replacement or eventual successor will be is going to take the same. So, but Nuri definitely ticks a lot of boxes there. Taking a quick look at his FB ref, he's still 22 years old. Won't still around 200 days away from turning 23, so definitely on the still young. And his defensive numbers are pretty much green across the board there, guys. So I think there's plenty of potential there. Certainly seems brave in possession as well. That's something I always look for in players. You don't want anyone that's skittish back there, and we need guys with quality on the ball. I think he does offer that, and would do a fairly good job currently in replacing a lot of what Andy does, both attacking wise and defensively. So that's not a bad shot at all. Recently, we've also seen that perhaps Alphonso Davies might be out on the market. I certainly would see a huge battle for his signature if he were to hit the market, but pretty low price tag between like 40 or 50 million euros. I'm not sure if you saw that, Dan.
No, I
Alphonso
didn't.
Davies.
No, I didn't see. I didn't see where Alphonso Davies was actually linked with Liverpool. I don't know why Bayern would sell him. Like he's probably the best left back in the world right now outside of Andy Robertson. Though I think he's. I know everyone jokes about Andy Robertson, but I think Alphonso Davies is what people think the meme of Andy Robertson is than what he actually is, which is someone that is all pace and plays as a winger. That's pretty much what Alphonso Davies is. His defensive numbers are not as good as Andy Robertson, which is why I've always been very defensive of Andy Robertson, because he's very, 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 very good. I was actually going back and looking at Nori's thing. So we were actually linked to him 2 years ago, before he moved to Wolves, when he was still a youth prospect at 20. So this is definitely someone that has been in the rumor mill before with Leighton Rian Nori. I like him a lot. Like every time I've seen him, I think the problem is the fact that Bruno Lage really didn't play him a lot because he played a very weird defensive system, and Lopetegui did like him, but again, like Wolves are just a tire fire. I don't think he'd be that expensive. I think right now, if Liverpool called Wolves and said, "Can we still have?" I think we still have the free. We can still transfer somebody, though. I think Andre's going to probably take that spot in January. If we called Wolves in the summer and said, "We'll give you 25 to 30 mil for him," I think they'd take it, and I think that'd be a bargain for a 22, 23-year-old. He is a fully capped international with Algeria. He went through the French system. I think he's probably the smartest if you're going to buy a regular left back. I know I said back in the transfer window that they might think of someone who's like more traditional. I think he's the closest thing you're going to get to like a bit of Andy Robertson, but also a bit of a traditional left wing back.
Yeah, I think Nuri would definitely be a great shout to bring in. Has proven himself in the Premier League and has worked in multiple systems, as you've mentioned, in both 4-back and 5 at the back as well. So definitely a good shout and cheap enough.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Wolves are still in kind of like a financial kind of issue.
Yeah,
so.
they're in a lot of problems right now with that.
I kind of feel about that. So I mean, they may not care that they're might be in a relegation scrap come January. Like, no, we need the money, or we could go back to League One. Like that's where they went right after I started watching Liverpool. Was I think 2 seasons after they got relegated, they're in League One, so they got back-to-back relegations before the Portuguese came and saved them for a while.
Yeah, he's one of the people.
They'll get that parachute payment as well for dropping down. Don't they get some sort of financial payment as well?
Yeah,
they do, but they also like I'm looking through like they have a super high wage bill. I mean, that's part of the reason why they had to sell some of their players. I mean, if you think about the players they have on the books, like Juan Hichan was very expensive. Mateus Cunha, again, very expensive. Hasn't really worked out. Again, I know people have really rated Cunha. I thought he was okay, but I never thought he was amazing. Pedro Neto is like an 80 million pound player. The thing about Neto is that I think the next club that's going to buy him is Manchester United, and he might actually be good for them, which is the one thing I'm worried about, is that someone at Manchester United who's running football will be like, wait a minute, why don't we buy Jadon Sancho? Let's just buy this Pedro Neto guy. He seems pretty good, but he just can't stay
He's
injury
just
free.
he just breaks down like every third match. He's always like has a niggle or of some sort.
The one thing about Rian 8 Nori though is that he doesn't really get injured that much. Like he occasionally has like a groin for a week or a couple or a couple days, but like he doesn't really miss a lot of game time. Like his worst injury is a broken jaw. I like him a lot. I know people like Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies is a good player. Just by if you put Rian 8 Nori in this Liverpool side as a left back, left wing back, however you want to do it. Like you're just getting someone who's younger, who's pacier, and who has a good like delivery on the left foot. It's essentially Andy Robertson 2.0. And he doesn't have as many miles on the clock as you would think a 22-year-old has. He has like 60, 70 less games than Alphonso Davies, who is a year older than him, but like that's like 2 seasons of football almost.
Yeah, and Davies has injury issues, if I'm thinking correctly. I don't think he's played like 30 games in the league.
He's never played more than 30 games in the league in his entire career at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, and then he has 269 games total at the age of 23. So he's played a lot of games. So similar to Soboslai, but different position. And Davies relies a lot on pace compared to Soboslai, who's a bit of a what you would call like a marathon strider who like can run and run and run, but he's definitely not slow, but he's not explosive like Alphonso Davies is.
Yeah, and Davies has Real Madrid like written all over him. Like that's like
they have a need as well. Unless that young Spanish kid Fran Garcia that they have kind of pans out. Ferland Mendy can't stay healthy. David Alaba, they can't stay healthy either. So yeah, that seems like a more appropriate shot for Alphonso Davies. Also, another level to rise. I don't think we would pay the transfer fee as well as what would his expected salary would be, considering he is a world star, Canada's best player. I'm not sure if he is the Canadian team captain or not. Spot check me there in the comments if you can. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'd probably go Ryan Ait-Nouri. Like if I was playing FIFA, I'd go Alphonso Davies, but building a squad, I'd probably go Ryan Ait-Nouri just for the experience he has, age, price point, and potential to improve as well.
Yeah,
and Paul confirming there from Canada, yes, he is the Canadian captain. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, and Madrid have a lot of problems they got to solve right now, so they need a defender. That's why they're trying to get Gonzalo Ignacio, which I think they've been trying to get him since the summer, so I'm not surprised. Davies, they're going to need to replace the left back because again, Ferdinand Mendy, he's been good, but he's been in and out, and they need a striker. So Madrid have like 3 big holes in their team they need to fix. And they're being covered up right now by the amazingness that is right now Jude Bellingham, pretty much playing like a number 10, a 10.5, a striker. He's been playing like Daniel Sturridge's old role, just scoring goals and not doing much else, but just scoring a lot of goals.
He's doing plenty besides scoring goals, but yeah.
No, I know. But let me have some criticism of Jude Bellingham here. He doesn't play for us. He doesn't play for us. We go. Let me have my eggs. Let me have my mud to throw at this man.
Oh no, man. That to me, well, this is my point of view. It hurt initially once they said we were out of the Jude race. But I think he's where he belongs. Let him, keep building his own legacy there. I'm happy with the guys we have. I think it's a way more organic squad. And it would have become the Jude show had Jude come here, I think. So I think that's one way of rationalizing to myself that we're better off with how we went about our midfield rebuild.
Absolutely, I would take McAllister, Indo, Gravenberch, and Soboslai every day over one Jude Bellingham. And it's not because Jude Bellingham they're all better than Jude Bellingham. It's because they fix a lot more issues than Jude Bellingham would. You put Jude Bellingham in the team, it's like congratulations, we have a goal scoring midfielder. We've lost 3 games. It's like Jude's the top scorer with 10 goals, but we're 3-1-3, something like that.
Yeah, so yeah, that's again, I'm gonna keep looking at it that way. I'll admire him from afar. Real is my Spanish league team, so more power to him. Like all my family's Madrid fans, so we'll see them next year in the Champions League final, hopefully. But on the topic of potential midfield rebuilds, a name that has kept popping up and a lot more frequently, considering the Copa Libertadores final that took place this weekend. Fluminense lifting the trophy, defeating Boca Juniors. Big part of that was forgot about Andre, and apparently we might need to forget about Andre with tweets circulating that Fulham is leading the race for his signature. Now, first question before we even get onto that topic: is Andre the midfielder that we need? Brendan.
I believe so. Just the way he plays, where he carries the ball. Like, he's not an outright like destroyer in six, but he is somebody who does kind of what we are doing with a lot of these players. Like, he can do a lot of different things in the midfield that we need to get done. He can, sit back in the six, kind of like McAllister is doing. He can get forward. He can do other things, spray the ball around, carry the ball when needed, shield it, like all these great things. I think he is the guy we need come January. Like, if we're signing a midfielder in January, I don't see anybody else who is jumping ahead of that like line of what should be Andre, unless like somebody.
Don't get into targets now. I'll come back to you for alternatives.
Fair enough.
Dan, is Andre the midfielder we need come January?
Yes, he is the next big thing out of Brazil. Everyone who is, for those of you who don't know, I teach at international boarding school. I have a lot of Brazilians that are my students, and I've coached this year. They support teams like Palmeiras, Sao Paulo, Grêmio, who else? Corinthians, like all the big clubs in there. In Internacional, all the big clubs in
Santos.
Brazil. Santos. No Santos fans this year. I had an Atletico Minerais fan a couple years ago. No Botafogo.
Palmeiras with the kid that Real Madrid bought. Damn.
No. So Andre. So everyone who I've talked to that watches the Serie A Brasileiro real time, watches, follows the news, everything else, who are really in touch. One, they all say he's going to Liverpool, which, I know that's not really big inside knowledge, but they're all saying like, yeah, he's probably going to Liverpool. Two, he's pretty much he's the next midfielder that's going to be in the Brazilian national team. He already has 2 caps. He's pretty much replaced Fabinho. He's going to be replacing Casemiro because Casemiro's old, fat, and slow, like Calvin Phillips.
He's not fat. He's not fat.
Old, fat, and slow. To quote Pep Guardiola, like Pep Guardiola said this, not me. Like don't come for me. Go for Pep. He can handle it, I think. So yeah, I think Andre for me fits a profile, and I think we have to change. And I've said this over the summer. I know we're getting big arguments about this. I hate bringing this up because, again, as a coach and everything else, I have to say this: you have to move out from saying like 6, 8, 9, 10, 7, whatever. You have to think more in like, what is your role? What is the role you want them to play? And yes, 6 is a role, but we think of the 6 as like a destroying, holding midfielder. I think what Klopp and Pep and the transfer team want is they want players with very multifaceted profiles that they can kind of be very interchangeable. They want more multi-tooled players. Again, more Genies and Jordans and less Fabinho's. But even Fabinho, when he came here,
take Jordan's name out of it.
Oh, we go. Jordan Henderson started as a right winger. He ended up as a defensive mid for Liverpool. Like come on, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. But there's players that have like a range of traits that you want. What Andre brings is passing, tenacity, tackling. He is both creative. He's a progressive passer and progressive carrier. So he does all the roles that you would want from him as well. He's also, this is what I've said a lot with our midfielders, is that he fits the role of a 6'8", 10. You can play as a 6, 8, or a 10. McAllister, 6'8", 10. Endo, 6'8", 10. Soboslai, 6'8", 10. Geimerberg, 6'8", 10. Jones, 6'8", 10. So I'm going to keep going through all of them because they all mimic the same profile. They can play as a holding 6, double pair, as a double pivot or as a single, or play for the forward.
So with that being said, so both of you say yes, Andre, perfect signing for January. From what I've seen in Andre, looks amazing. That the confidence on the ball, the intelligence to position himself and be in spots to cut out danger, really, really good. The energy, the fire, the level of craziness you've seen from him as well. All qualities I like. But if we don't get him, obviously, I kind of, before we get onto targets, do you think perhaps that Klopp's influence and magnetism and charisma doesn't necessarily translate to the non-English speaking players? Do you think it's somewhat limited or diluted, and perhaps can't seal the deal as he is more apt to with guys that do speak the language?
I don't think so.
Ye-
Like, yeah, I think it's Klopp, it's Liverpool. I mean, it's like, Klopp's lifted every trophy in every league he's been in. So I mean, it's not like we've never had a Brazilian player under Klopp. We've had plenty of players who played really well for us as Brazilians. Now they may be able to speak English as well, but we're going to have Allison there to help him along. We're going to have. Do we have any other Brazilians at the moment?
Alisson, Pitaluga. Oh God, I forgot. Bobby's not there. We lost all the Brazilians. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it.
Pitaluga.
Like, oh, it's like Fabinho. I know Fabinho's gone. I'm like, oh, well, we still have Allison. Like, I think that's more than enough to bring anybody in, is to get to hang out with Allison a little bit. But yeah, I don't see that being a language barrier or anything like that. Like, if he ends up at Fulham and not us, it's because we were never interested. Because I can't see us losing out, like a player choosing to go. No offense to Fulham, I'm not trying to like degrade the club or anything like that, but I can't see a player choosing to go to Fulham over Liverpool because their coach speaks their language. Like, that's it. I just can't see that being like that, like, change, because chances to go to Liverpool are very few and far between. Like, you have to take that opportunity when it comes up to you. Like, you just
I bring it up not because I believe it, just because comments as well. He might be more comfortable with Silva and also Moises Caicedo and some of the Spanish speaking players as well who've kind of maybe foregone. But obviously I only want players who want to be here, and if it takes more than a conversation with Klopp to get you to want to run to Anfield, then we'll find someone else. I'm more than happy to move on to the next target there.
Yeah, I think the only reason Fulham's getting linked to this transfer is because I think it's pretty much accepted that João Paulino is going to Bayern in January. I think every side has been telling us that that's going to happen. They signed a new contract as a way of like, he's committed for this half of the season. This is a reward for you staying. I think João Paulino is going, and I think they've already signed a replacement midfielder, but I think it's just easy journalism to do that as well. If Andre chooses to go to Fulham over Liverpool, let's say they're both interested in, then that tells me that he's like either Liverpool's too big for him or he doesn't see a pathway, which if it's either of those things, that's his decision. And, like, more power to you, Andre, hey, you're not there. I do think that there is a thing where, there are players who look at like coaches, like we have a lot of great coaches in the league. Thomas Frank, Marco Silva. There are people who like look around saying, what's best for my development? The thing with Andre, though, is that Andre just won the Copa Libertadores, the first time in Fluminense's history. Like, this is a ridiculously big deal. For those of you in the chat who don't understand the magnitude of this is essentially, this would be like Leicester City winning the Champions League. Like, just imagine how insane it is. Like, never happened before. No one ever know. I think the question is not whether or not Klopp has pull or even his tenure. I think it just comes down to, does Andre actually just want to play at Liverpool? Like, I think Klopp has plenty of pull. There's a release clause we don't know about. Like, so we know Jorg likes a release clause. I don't think the wages would be too crazy. It's just a matter of, does he actually want that?
What's the player's desire?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Again, I'm not questioning. I'm not questioning Klopp's riz, to use a more modern. What is the vernacular there? Riz, right? Yeah, that's what we refer to. Being able to pull.
You got
depending on what you want to pull, but yeah.
You're not a Rigo, you're Rizzo.
So, but yeah, obviously, looks a player would be a great addition. But if we do not get to him, Brandon, I'll go to you. Who would be next up on your list? You can give me a couple of players if you have, or one specifically, and I'll open that up to the comment section as well.
Well, I feel if we don't get Andre in January, we're not getting anybody in January. I don't think there'll be a backup option come January time. It would be something we'd do in the summer. I think the top one that in my mind has been Luiz from Benfica, or like Thuram I would like, but I know obviously we had the stuff in the summer about him wanting astronomical wages, or like way more than like certain players on the squad who's been here for years. Like, I'm not sure if we can get over that or if he would drop those demands. I know Kone gets mentioned a lot from Gladbach, But I think Luis at Benfica would be kind of my number one without a doubt.
All right, Florentino Luis. Shout from Brandon. Dan, who's next up on your list if we forget about Andre?
Honestly, I have no idea because at this point, like there are just not enough as well. So let's go through the names that we mentioned. Kone still injured, hasn't played. Kevin Turan plays one game this year for Nice. He has not played a lot, so he's not in shape. Yeah, we should just go for Rodri at this point. I would just say, hey Rodri, we'll give you half a stake in Liverpool Football Club. Come leave City and come play for us. To be quite perfectly honest, like I think it is Andre or bust. I'd be very surprised they brought anybody else. Like I don't think it's gonna be like even Hincape, who hasn't played that much. You know, I'm trying to think if there's any out of the box players we could see floating around the league. I mean, maybe a Nunez, but I think he's going to from Saudi Arabia from Wolves. But I think he's going to Newcastle. Neves, not Nunez. Yeah, Neves.
Yeah, I kind of saw once that Italian got suspended. You kind of saw shouts that Ruben Neves might get loaned to Newcastle. So I hope that doesn't come to be, because then that's really slapping in the face of everything competitive with regards to the Premier League. But let's see what's next. Is that a second plate of lasagna, Dan?
This is the whole plate of platter of lasagna that I'm being fed right now.
Will we get a comatose Dan before the stream is done?
You would definitely get a comatose me, and I still need a shower. I think Jeremy Hughes brought something up here, and I think it's important to address this now. I don't think the fact that Endo hasn't played a lot is a sign that Klopp doesn't rate Endo. I think he's very much trying to, again, like, bed some players in slowly and let some other players go as well. I think we'll see a lot of Wataru Endo from in December up through probably February, and then if we have Andre, they probably take Endo out and start putting Andre in more. That would be my position. Because honestly, I know people want Paulinho. Don't spend $80 million for a 30-year-old João Paulinho. Like, please don't. Like, we're not Manchester United, guys. Let's chill. Like, I remember everyone wanted Amrabat, and like I'm like, I'd rather have 30 Wataru Endos than one Sulfur Amrabat.
Yeah, that's looking like a quite. Even though it's a loan, the most sensible thing though is that they made it a loan. So that was the one smart thing that
stroke of luck that was
the Manx did. So my shout for potential midfield acquisition and kind of leaning more straight up DM, and a guy that I kind of got a chance to watch play today, even though his team lost, and that would be Mats Wiefer, kind of continuing our Orange Revolution, bringing in another Dutch player. He plays for Feyenoord currently. He's around 6'2", about to turn 24 years old. If you take a look at his FB ref, green across the board, looks like quite a player. Again, it's a Eredivisie, so not Premier League proven, not big league proven, but as we've seen with Cody Gakpo, that talent does translate. But that would be my kind of out of left field shout. Player with potential on the rise. Obviously, Dutch player. Typically, they're super highly intelligent and can play a number of positions as well. So that would be my out of left field shot. But if not, then we can play the classics. Krepin Thuram, I'd love him. I still love him on the team, as well as Manu Kone. But we'll see. Andre for certain looks like a winner, and that's typically what we look for in players, guys with pedigree or desire to win, who have won, or are national team captains. That's what we're kind of made up of here at Liverpool. Any other shouts there on the chat? Let me take a quick perusal here. Two Coop Miners from Paul Lindo. Go ahead, Dan. What was that?
Well, I guess two things. So I'll address Paul first. Paul, no, Coop Myers is terrible. We're not buying Coop Myers. Number two, Amrabat, the World Cup. You never buy a player off of a good World Cup. Like, that's rule number one. Like, going all the way back to, oh, God, who was the player that Liverpool bought from, I'm trying to remember his name now, Rigo. I can't remember. Yeah, exactly. You never buy a good player off of a good World Cup because it's such a specific competition. Like I know
And
someone
it's
might say,
national teams. It's national teams.
yes, it's
Teams
national
that players that
teams.
aren't used to playing with each other day in day out as well.
Yeah, and also I think that someone's going to mention Alexis McAllister, but McAllister I think we've been watching for a while, and you can see him at Brighton as being a player that has gotten better and better. But no, Coop Myers, I wouldn't touch Coop Myers with a 20-foot pole. If we buy Coop Myers, we're going United route. The
He's
emphasis
just
should
too
become the
slow a
Glazers.
foot for me. I
Oh
think
yeah,
he's too
he's
slow for the Premier League, either at CB or even as a DM. He can certainly pass the ball very well. Has a really good left foot. I'd love to stack a bunch of lefties on Liverpool, as it is. Can bury penalty shots. Has been team captain previously in his squads. But yeah, I don't think Coop Miners is a fit, but not a terrible shot there, Paul, our northern friend from Canada. Um, all right.
I
Chelsea
love
will
Paul
try and
Scholes.
offload Romeo.
Hey,
Um,
give him 10.
that
Give him
ship
10
has
million.
sailed to me. Once bitten, twice shy, I think is the phrasing here. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, you gave it away, and we're almost at holiday time. So no, thank you to Romeo. I would not revisit that. But I'm not sure if anyone else would like that also. Vase of flowers, reminding us, Maka again, highly intelligent player, getting that yellow card, guaranteeing that he will be available for the Man City match. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And yep, I want to see him in left midfield versus Toulouse. That would be a terrific shout. Give Endo a run out and Maka some minutes there. But I could probably foresee that not happening just because Klopp probably trying to save him some minutes there. All right. Liverpool 12th man shouting out Wirtz. Holy cow, Wirtz and Bayer Leverkusen. What is Xabi Alonso cooking over there? They look absolutely on fire, scoring goals at will. Alejandro Grimaldo, holy cow. Uh, Production out of a left back, and center of it all is Florian Wirtz. That'd be a terrific shot, but we don't play with tens supposedly, right? That's the one thing, and Wirtz is definitely a 10. Well, yeah, kind of right, kind of
we,
superfluous. It
we
kind of
both we
drips
both
in and out.
we both Fabio Carvalho, Harvey Elliott, Dominic Szoboszlai, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister. These are all players who are tens to some degree, to varying degrees. They're tens. Like we do play with tens, but we don't play with tens in the way that you
We
normally
play
play
with
with
tens
tens.
out of position and more in a central midfield role. Is
Well,
that what
I,
you're
I
saying?
hate to I hate to say out of position because that implies that like Klopp is just fitting square pegs to round holes. I think it's more we're asking tens to play different roles. So you're not playing in the middle of the pitch. You're playing. It's a 10 with a lot of responsibility. So essentially, you're a pressing 10. I guess is what you would call it, a defensive 10. Or what do we call Bobby, a defensive striker? We're just playing with a defensive striker.
Yeah.
It's a role adaptation. Don't worry about the first part.
As far as Incapié, I love him. For those of you who have joined the streams previously, I mentioned it almost every single damn stream. I'm half Spaniard. I'm half Ecuadorian. I was over the moon when we signed Caicedo. Dan was on the stream there. I practically had an orgasm on the stream, and it was all for naught. But Inca Pierre, bringing him on, that would be tremendous to me. Left-sided center back, can play left back as well. Future captain of the Ecuadorian national team. I love him. Will we get him? I highly doubt it.
Yeah, he hasn't played at all this year, so I'd be very surprised. He hasn't played at all for Bayer Leverkusen this year. As like for all the games I've watched, and I hope so. I love Fabio Carvalho. I know some people don't like him. He just has something that I think is worth a shout.
Yep. So loading up the topic for those of you just listening and not reading. Fabio Carvalho, what we sent back for him. He's barely been getting off the pine. Thank God they're not made of wood anymore, or else he would have spinners in his behind. He's barely played for Red Bull. They brought in Xabi Simons after we loaned him over. So I think that's kind of really thrown a whole monkey wrench into the situation. I'm not sure how much of that is a factor of Xavi or how much of that is a factor of Fabio, because now it's going on two managers now who don't trust him to put him onto the field. I pulling up his prediction from today because RB Leipzig did play. 19 minutes played, 4 out of 5 passes completed, 10 touches, 1 shot on target, won 1 out of 4 ground duels, 1 tackle, 1 aerial duel, 1, and got dribbled past twice. Um, Speaking of square pegs and round holes, uh, Fabio Carvalho, I think he might be just a square peg at RB Leipzig and a square peg here at Liverpool as well. Should we recall him in January and loan him out elsewhere?
I
Dano
would.
or
Sorry.
Brandon? Go ahead, Brandon. No, you called out first.
Yeah, I would. You got to get him some game time. If he's ever going to do something a whole year at Leipzig doing nothing is not going to get him. If we're ever going to unlock the potential he could be with the squad, the whole year out there doing nothing will not ever unlock that. So, I mean, he's still 20. I kind of get where Dan's coming from. I see it too sometimes when I'm watching him play, but I just don't see where his role is in the squad. Like what's his niche going to be? I thought maybe they can mold him into being like a Bobby type role, or maybe they can mold him into being a replacement, or maybe they can mold. But he's missing something. I don't know what it is. I'm not that smart. I can't figure out what that something is sometimes. He is a player that when you watch him, you see it. You can see that he's got talent. He's got somebody who could be somewhere. He could play definitely be a main player on a really good team. It just may not be with Liverpool.
I think a lot of this is this with him.
Yeah, so I think Carvalho really lacks 2 key things. I think it sounds insulting because it sounds like I'm calling him like unintelligent. I think he lacks game intelligence, and I think he lacks positional intelligence. So he's played mostly as a floating 10. He's not fast enough to be a winger, so he has to be a midfielder or a forward. And I think what he's really good at is like when he has the ball, he can just do stuff with it and find a pass. But it's everything that's around that he's still developing. And listen, he's 20. He turned 21 August. He's still very young. I don't want to sit here and just damn the kid with faint praise because everyone was writing Curtis Jones off 2 years ago. It's like a waste of space, and he was like a starting regular games, even 3 years ago as well. I think Carvalho is definitely someone kind of like Ryan Gravenberch, where you need to take him in and kind of like nurture him a bit. I think there's a shout to recall him and load him to Fulham because I think Fulham are going to need some forwards and they need some players. But I mean, I like him. I watch Carvalho and it's like Harvey. Like I watch them both, and I think the difference between Carvalho and Harvey is I think Carvalho has more natural talent than Harvey Elliott does. Harvey Elliott is a lot of endeavor.
But Harvey just goes 1,010% every single second.
Exactly. He's always
running so hard, not really going far, but he just runs so damn hard.
All right,
man.
calm down. Calm down, there we go. I think Harvey has a lot of endeavor. He has a lot of intelligence. He has a lot of good technical skill. Carvalho has so much technical ability, so much finishing instincts. But I just think that the ability to retain information and play within the system.
He's got the wiggle. Harvey doesn't necessarily have the wiggle. Fabio has it, but Harvey to me obviously has a lot more intangibles.
And I've said this before. If Harvey Elliott, the thing right now, if I'm Harvey Elliott, my goal is like I want to be the fifth best midfielder on Liverpool's team. Because now, if I'm the 5th best midfield player, I'm probably going to get like 30 to 40 games a season, or like just as a bench or rotational player, and I'm going to win all that silverware, and I'll play about 400 games, and I'll get some like England caps. And if Harvey Elliott's your 5th or 6th best midfielder at Liverpool, that's a great midfield. That's a really stacked midfield. That means there's so many people. Yeah, Paul played the hard area left back. Listen, Paul, I love Harvey Elliott, but I don't want to see Harvey Elliott.
We were just getting on Simicast about his foot speed. And you put Harvey out there.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, it's not his foot speed. Like he's Shaqiri. Like that's what Harvey Elliott is. He's a Shaqiri, but I think he's more intelligent than Shaqiri was. I think Shaqiri at times was just like couldn't stay fit, and just I think his in-game intelligence, which he was very smart, but I think like it just never really worked out. And I love Jurgen Shaqiri so much.
Shaqiri came from like a war-torn country, and he'd punch you in the face as soon as hit a free kick in there.
I know. Listen, I love Jurgen Shaqiri, but I'm saying like in terms of like if you watch how they play within the system, I think Harvey's a little bit more like he's more coachable, he's more able to like adapt. I think Jurgen Shaqiri was very like this is who I am, this is how I play. And again, I love Jurgen Shaqiri so much. I love him so much.
Yeah. He's doing really well over at the Chicago Fire for you.
Oh yeah,
MLS fans as well.
Oh yeah.
But Paul, we are short of left footers. Yep, I love me some lefties. would welcome would be happily welcome more into the squad. Especially a couple of attacking lefties as well. And midfielder, we need actual midfielders with left foot, and center backs with a left foot as well. But all right, other topics of note here. So yep, recall Fabio, loan him back out, and hopefully he gets his head on straight. If not, then we gotta recoup a little bit of scratch to bring in players who will be available. Um, all right, quick shout out here to Marcelo Pitaluga, making the Brazilian Olympic squad. He's been called up to the squad. Obviously, all those training montage videos are paying off that are released by LFC. So they probably hashtag Brazil and tag the Brazilian squad on there. So Marcelo is making it there. He looks good. Obviously, getting the best kind of training with the Liverpool first team. So, yep, congratulations to him. Congratulations also to, and happy anniversary, happy birthday to John Barnes, uh, Liverpool legend. Joined us in '87, played with us for about 10 years, 106 goals and 403 appearances. Speaking of left footers, one of the most talented left footers ever to grace our beautiful red kit. So shout out to good old John Barnes as well. So let's take a quick look at the chat here. All right, so just a quick touch base here. So obviously we expected a lot of turnaround for the Toulouse match. Let the kids play as much as possible. Hopefully, Callum Kelleher can be a little bit more dominant in the air. I was not overly impressed with his performance at the Carabao Cup midweek. Certainly would like to see a more dominant performance out of him, build up his value and confidence. Shout out to Stephen in our group chat of Irish background. Hopefully, he cements the starting nod for the national team there. But Liverpool sit third in the Premier League, 24 points, tied with Arsenal at 24. Man City leading 27. Tottenham at 26. So yes, let's kind of dig into yesterday's debacle of a match between Chelsea and the Spurs.
I didn't get to watch
Nicholas Jackson scored a hat trick and had a 6.2 rating. Oh my God. Wow. Was that karma manifested in prime time on a Monday or what?
Okay, listen, I have to be quite honest here. I actually felt really bad. I was laughing at Spurs, but I felt bad watching Mickey Van de Ven, who everyone thought was the reincarnation of Franz Beckenbauer and like the greatest signing of Tottenham's history. And he's been a good player, I'm not lying. Pulled his hamstring, so he's
fast as hell.
Yeah, he pulled his hamstring, so he's gone for 3 to 4 months. He's probably going to run as fast. James Maddison go down with, I think he had an ankle injury, so he's out for like 2 months, for a month, knowing James Maddison. Well, Romero gets sent off again because he's bad at tackling, and it was a terrible tackle, and they were trying to justify it.
Should have gotten sent off twice.
He should have gotten sent off twice, exactly. Undoge, again, great player, sent off for 2 bad yellows, way worse than Jota's. I think like Jota's first yellow wasn't really yellow. The second one is debatable, but again, we can criticize Jota just don't dive in. And on top of all of that, Chelsea was still trying to lose the game against Tottenham, with Tottenham almost scoring like an equalizer and a winner so many times. And it took Nicholas Jackson and Raheem Sterling essentially doing a training exercise on the halfway line, breaking a press to win that game. Honestly, it was crazy. I loved every moment of it. It showed exactly why Spurs are still Spurs, why Chelsea are insane. Like, Chelsea can't win a game unless they're playing against 9 men playing a high line on the halfway line.
So speaking of the halfway line, it looked like they were getting ready for sprints at the Olympics when everyone lined up at the halfway line trying to keep them offside. Oh my God.
I've never seen.
I've never seen either super brave or super stupid. Ange even alluded to it. If we're down to 5, that's the way we're going to play as long as I'm manager here. Uh, I
Yeah.
did got to give him respect for his comments there. He wasn't griping or really going in on the refs at all. He said you got to respect what the refs call. I grew up, respecting what the refs, and if they called it, they called it. Uh, he did get a yellow for arguing calls earlier in the game, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like he realized he already got a yellow, and he's just like, I don't want to play another fine. And we're just gonna keep plugging in chops. We're good. We're good. No,
So I don't know, but yeah.
I think
So
Tottenham are gone.
and news today, Richarlison, he has something going on with his pubics, and needs an operation. His pubics hurts, so
Well,
He's
that
got,
actually
yeah.
helped him out
couldn't
quite a bit.
couldn't happen to a nicer guy, I hope he enjoys his time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I would just like to say, I've called this all year that Tottenham will fall off a cliff and Arsenal will fall off a cliff, and they're both looking like they're about to fall off a cliff. So I just want to say I was right. I'm very happy, and Liverpool is still going to win the league because I've said that all year. We'll win the quadruple with the Europa. We'll win the Mickey Mouse quadruple instead of the Champions League with the Europa League.
oh man. We'll see. Man City, obviously, KDB still not playing. No timetable on his return, and they're humming along. Uh, that guy that we've been rumored to bring into our squad, Jeremy Doku, looks absolutely frightening. I really hope Trent gets plenty of help from Dominic Szoboszlai there on the right side. But yeah, I, I I find it very hard to find things to complain about our squad. I love the makeup of it. The team chemistry seems to be the best it's been in a while, and we had pretty good team chemistry to
Mhm.
begin with all these years with Klopp. So it's something very exciting to see. This is by no means our final form. These guys have
Mhm.
played 11 matches together, at most, some of them. So yep, it's definitely a positive things to take a look at. Paul, yep, Paqueta. I wanted him before he made the move to West Ham. We could have had him for a song, 40 mil to Lyon, and it would have been a done deal. And he would, it would have been great. But maybe not, because maybe we dug into his background and we saw he was placing bets, and that's why we didn't go for him. Who knows? Uh, uh, what was that, Brandon? I didn't catch it.
Newcastle thing, just signed a player, not looking to what's going on behind the scenes. Looking for 10
They,
months.
they, just like their player, they take gambles. Yo, did you do an outfit change? Did you sweat through the lasagna sweats with that shirt?
Oh yeah, no, I sweat through those line shirts. No, it's like 50 degrees. It's like 60 degrees up here, and they have the heat on in the apartment complex. So like it's not running air anymore. So I had to go
You,
open a window.
you got the building
Yeah,
heating.
yeah, yeah. So
The-
yeah, and then also
I
there's
miss
like a
that. I don't live in
section.
New York anymore, but I did grow up with that. With the nice old hissing
Yeah,
water radiator there.
yeah.
Huh.
Actually, so Arizona. No, I'm in Boston. Like, no, no, no. Ryu, I actually had a question for you. So
Yo,
my question for you is, would you rather Liverpool sign Andre Trindade or Piero Hincapié in January, and you lose out on
for
the other? You lose out on the other one. You never get them.
I say the greater need is at left-sided center back with potential to play left back. I would go with Piero Hincapié. Reason being, I do love Andre. I feel it's more of a need with that left-footed center
Mhm.
back with versatility, and also I'm holding out hope for fellow Spaniard and fellow Gallego, by
Mhm.
the name of Stefan Bajcetic, and hopefully
Mhm.
he can is on his way to recovery. Obvious growth pains, growth spurts, etc., etc. But I do expect him to be available at some point this season, as I'm also holding out a candle and consistently lighting it, even though the flame is flickering, weaker and weaker as the days go on. But for Thiago Alcantara, to resume playing for this squad to show his quality, at least before his contract does run out, and grace the field with midfielders that can look him in the eye quality wise. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do agree with that. What do you think, Brandon?
I think I agree with Rigo. I like Andre as much as I want Andre. That left-sided center back role would be kind of the one I want to fill, move out the left, especially as we see kind of what our options are without Robbo on the left side. Is like, we kind of really need that step up. Thiago, I have my candle here lit as well for Thiago. I would love to see him one more time. Like, kind of play one of those passes that you're like, that's literally, he's probably one of 3 players in the world that plays that pass and makes it look as easy as it does. But it just, you'll get really hyped about him and then he'll go away for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I really wanted him as that luxury piece, and apparently luxury is just he turned out to be an NFT. So we only have virtual or visual images of him. Unfortunately, not the real thing. You can't like throw it in the lineup. But the other kind of thought, Bobby Clark. I think Bobby Clark might end up playing a little bit of role in midfield as well. I think he's been kind of had an injury bug also. Cade Gordon is on his way to playing as well. I think he got in 60 minutes yesterday or today. Ben Doak also help on the wings. So yeah, I go Piero Incapia just for that simple fact. Kwanzaa looks like the Matip's successor as far as being either third or fourth in rotation for center back. So adding a lefty to the mix would be crucial. Down the line, I don't know what our plans are, but Seth Vandenberg is doing tremendously well again over in the Bundesliga. So quite a few things to be positive about.
How good was Kwanzaa at Bournemouth? Like, he was so good. He was so good.
He's a 28-year-old. Like he's already a 28-year-old, and still so much more to learn. But
and
just
he's so big.
You can see why he was the team captain. His shoulders are just so broad, but he's thin. He's not like a very muscular guy, but he puts the kid on. He just looks
he fills it out. Like I listen, like you know how I feel about like tall, strapping, big young lads playing center back for Liverpool. That's what dreams are made of, man. Like that's what we're in this for. I'm here to watch beautiful men kick a ball around and hopefully score a goal. It's just,
in short shorts.
In short shorts, yeah. Listen, this is why I signed up for football for. It's what me and my wife paid the subscriptions for. We're trying to see some action here, guys. Come on. No, I love Joe Kwanzaa so much. He's such the real deal. It reminds me so much of when we got Joe Gomez. When we had. Okay, there we go.
No, I'm saying he's kind of following Trent's evolution into the starting lineup in a way, little by little, until he kind of, I'm here. This is me.
Do you know what's crazy about the difference, though? Trent had won the Champions League and the Premier League by the age of 2021. So what Kwanzaa is now, if he was being Trent's trajectory, he would have played I think 70 to 80 games and have won the Champions League, have been to 2 finals, won the Champions League, and have on track to win a Premier League title. Just to, again, accentuate how crazy Trent Alexander-Arnold's career has been.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, the age-wise, yeah, but, center backs also, I think, take a little bit longer to kind of develop. It's really is a knowledge position in a lot of ways. So, very, 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 very happy with him. Panel, has Zobo hit the wall? He played so many damn minutes at freaking Bournemouth, man. Same thing with Salah and the freaking badass weather. He's run more than I think he's ever run, and he's on pace to play 30% more minutes than he ever has. So 30%, let's say that's almost a third of a season. Let's say you play a full season. Do we need to keep an eye on it? I think definitely. I think we become a little bit too over reliant on him chasing stuff back. One thing I actually want to bring up as a topic here is inverted right back. Do we need it? Do we want it anymore? With our new look midfield, does it leave us a little bit too open? Are we diminishing Trent's passing ability at this point? Just because I feel like, I don't know. I'm not sure it's having the same effectiveness it did towards the end of last year. Just thoughts.
Okay. Um, I mean, it's not something we have to start off on the game with. It's something we could definitely mold into, like when the game calls for it, like getting Trent a little bit more central. Like, he played that great ball in the where Darwin hit the post against Luton. Like, he played that one incredible ball in the Bournemouth game that, Darwin maybe miscontrolled at first, but then scored the worldie on. Like, getting Trent into those positions, I think in the inverted right back position is fantastic. We don't have to play it all the time. But it's something, maybe if the right game calls for it, or if we have teams expecting us to play one way, we can bust this out and they have the wrong team picked for us. And we can just pick, Trent can just pick them apart, quarterbacking back there.
So, I mean, I think it's a few things. I think Brandon hit the nail on the head for a lot of it, that he's still doing his creative numbers. He's still doing excellent as an inverted right back. I think there's a few things. One, every team's seen it now, so they all have kind of a plan for inverting. Two, Liverpool have kind of caught on to that, and they've started. Trent only does it like for maybe 10 minutes in the first half. Then he goes to traditional right back, and he might do it again for a little bit as well. So it's not like the whole game he's spending time there. And three, I think the biggest thing, and this is when it comes to inversion, is who's giving width. So if Trent's inverting, who's going to provide the width? Obviously, against Luton, I think the reason they stopped doing it, or it didn't look as good, was because there was no width. So you couldn't stretch the Luton team, and more importantly, you couldn't like stretch their depth, not just out wide, but like between the lines. So you couldn't stretch the midfield and Colton Morris from the back line from the goalkeeper, so they weren't creating enough space for them. Like, think of the Wolves game, like how Wolves at the end, they were just all over the place to depth, and so you just needed one pass to get a shot on goal. Like it was. So that was the one thing we missed that game from just a width. And again, with all that being said, like I said earlier in the stream, if anybody kicks the ball in the back of the net, we probably win 2-0.
Yeah, we can care less. Yeah,
it's like, who cares? So
we're rolling.
So I think it's just something we're just going to have to deal with at times, where teams just cop onto it, and then it's just like, okay, what's the next thing for Trent? And I think the next thing they're going to do for Trent is when they invert him, in many ways, it might be in the sense that he inverts as a lone six, and then everyone pushes forward. Or like, I think what's going to happen is that he's going to go into the six and drop and split the center backs. So very old school. He comes inside, sits
just like Pirlo, just Andre Pirlo,
exactly,
because in front of the defense.
Because that's what you would do logically next. Is like what Trent's good at is that, okay, you don't want him to be a traditional right back, so we're going to move him inside. He drops the center back split, so you have your three. It allows your left back or your left wing back or your left center back to push up into midfield, or to push up in the wing like Robbo and Simicast like to do. And it allows Conte and your right center back, whoever to cover that space. And then you have Soboslai, McAllister, and Gravenberch all in front of you that can cover the rest of the space. I think that's the next step. I think we're going to see that a lot. We saw that actually a little bit this year, but we're going to see Trent splitting the center backs, I think, more, and kind of work as literally like Steven Gerrard in the 13-14 season. And I think you mentioned Pirlo and Alonso and all that as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly things to play with. Great thing now is that we do have options, and there's a lot of ways to mix and match. Definitely, as far as the width, I do, I don't think Jota and Darwin pair up that well, left and center, as well as, let's say, Darwin and Salah on the right side. So I think that kind of factored into it as well. But I think, for the most part, nothing to really complain about. We're sitting third. Got to win the matchups that we need to win, and I think we're in for a hell of a ride the rest of this year. But bordering now at an hour and 20 minutes on this stream. Those of you who have joined us for the duration, thank you guys so much. Jay Muse, as always, ever present, effervescent. Thank you for joining, as always, man, providing definitely great commentary. Paul Lindo, one of the squad, joining in as well. Liverpool 12th man, thank you so much for hopping in. Vase of Flowers, love the name, love the game. Thanks for hopping in there. And everyone else in there, a lot to shout out to. Ernesto Garcia, appreciate the shout. Yes, my brother. We're just trying to do our best here and have fun. But yeah, thank you all for hopping on. Make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'm sure you all have, but if not, hit it twice. Make it feel nice. So for Brandon, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up for today?
I don't believe so. I've been enjoying the chat over here on the right side. There's a lot of band talk going on, so I'm
same for me. I'm like, what is this?
Score prediction, Paul, since you popped it in there for Toulouse, I believe is what we're talking about here. 2-1. I'll go 2-1. I think Cody scores, and I think let's get really wild with it. Let's see. Matip scores on a corner.
Whoa. No. All right, Dan. Closing thoughts and a prediction.
I'll go one more. I'll say it'll probably be close to at 3-1. I can see Toulouse scoring a goal, making it.
I said closing thoughts and a prediction. You went prediction.
I'm going to give my closing thoughts afterwards. I just want to do that first, so you do.
Because that leaves a way too open ended. Dan, you're long winded. Closing thoughts and a prediction.
I feel like I'm very succinct, Rigo. I feel very Rizzo. You're killing me here. So closing thoughts. I think we can still win the league. I think we still need to enjoy the ride, enjoy this new team. They're brilliant. We love them. Darwizzy will score more goals. He's doing great this year. We shouldn't be too harsh on him. Let's just all enjoy the ride and have a good time. Up the Reds. And prediction. I think it'll be a 3-1. Toulouse will score early. To give us a bit of a nightmare, but I think it'll be Gakpo. I think Matip's a good shout. I think we might see a Harvey or even a Gravenberch kind of go and score as well, or Curtis, whoever's in the midfield. I don't think it'll be a good game, and I think we'll see again why Kwanzaa is. Yes, I'm very optimistic, Paul, but I'm usually pretty right. So, I have a reason for being optimistic. If I was pessimistic, the season's over. I think I have a good reason to be optimistic.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. Closing thoughts for me. Again, echoing. Let's enjoy this team. Let's enjoy the growth. I should say, the quality. It's coming in bits and spurts, but the effort is there, and I'm loving the look and makeup of this team. Next thing we need to do is nail down a sporting director to assist Klopp, and then get Klopp's signature on extension as well. But apart from that, just keep building that chemistry, keep building that familiarity. And as far as a prediction, for Toulouse, I'd say a 2-0. Let's give them a clean sheet. We need to keep getting those clean sheets wherever we can, even if we can't secure them in the Premier League. I'd love a clean sheet. 2-0 with Toulouse. Brentford, holy cow, that matchup scares me. Thomas Frank, utmost respect for him and his managerial style, as well as Brentford's effort. I could definitely see us on scraping one away, 2-1 on Sunday against Brentford. But for myself, Rigo, for Brandon, and for Dan, this has been Stars, Stripes, and Anfield Nights, brought to you by LSU Transfer Room. Make sure to hit like and subscribe on all your social media platforms. Thank you all for joining. Have a great night, and you'll never walk alone.
I think the answer to that question